Hey guys, the second part of this tutorial is just about how to put together our final composition. If I'm in Inkscape, it's a little bit easier if I just open up a second blank document to make the final version. So if I go to File and New, I'll just get a new blank Inkscape document, and I just want to make sure that this canvas is about the same proportion as my original, which it is. So on this one I have my two thumbnails over here, and on the other one I just have a blank canvas. What I can do now is just copy and paste my thumbnails onto the final and arrange them to make a larger composition. As you can see here, what I have done to this one thumbnail is I've grouped it together so it's all one thing. However, this one over here is still all separate. In order to group it together, what I can do is just take my selector tool, drag over the entire thumbnail, make sure everything is selected, and then go to Object, Group, and that will just make it one thing that I can move all together. Now that I've done that, it's easiest to copy and paste this over onto my new document. I can just do Control-C for copy, go over to my new blank page, Control-V to paste it. As you can see, it's very large, and I'm going to have to scale it down in order to make it a small portion of my final image. In order to do that, if I hold down Control and Shift on the keyboard and grab one of my corners here, I can just shrink it down however big or small I want it. Let's say I wanted 9 tiles to fit. That would be 3 tall and 3 across. So I'd have to try to guess about 3 tall, maybe I'm a little too big, and then 3 widthwise. So I can shrink it down a little bit more. We want to try to create a pattern here, so I can maybe put these ones in each corner. Just copy and paste that new smaller thumbnail. Paste. And you can see how I'm starting to create a pattern by filling in my 4 corners. Let me get my other thumbnail and fit it in there to see what the final product will kind of look like. Control-C. Oh, let's make sure I have the whole thing. Control-C. Control-V. Control and Shift at the same time as I grab the corner and shrink it down. Okay. Now I don't necessarily like the square hanging off of this one, so what I can do, if I put this below the other thumbnail, you won't see the square. So I can hold my function button, press page down, and you can see I got it to fit below the other 2 thumbnails, something you can play with, almost like a layer. I might have to stretch it just a little bit to make it fit. Okay, now if I copy and paste that one, put it up here, function, page down, I'm putting it underneath the other ones. So you can start to see how the final composition is coming together. I can save this before I get too far. Make sure that it doesn't go away. Save as. And I'll just name it my last name and final name composition or something like that. make sure you save it to your flash drive or to your desktop where you can move it onto your flash drive later. So I'm going to go to my desktop. Now that my composition is laid out here, I can play with it a little bit. You know, I made the center tile here a little bit bigger just to kind of create an emphasis on the middle. But I kept the colors all the same. One thing that you can try on your own artwork is to select each one of your thumbnails or tiles here, and you can play with the filters tab. So if you come up to the top here, there's a bunch of different things that you can do to kind of distort it, change it in different ways, create textures. So if you go up to this filters tab on the top left corner, you can play with things like invert the color, different things of that. So maybe I'll try one that says fluorescent. And you can see how it almost made like an analogous scheme now. It's orange and yellow and red, which is kind of interesting. Maybe that could be a good thing for me to do in the center of my artwork to kind of draw attention to it. So let's see, color, fluorescent. So just play around with that until you get something that you really like and you feel looks like a finished product to hand in. And then we're at the conclusion of our first project. I think it's a pretty easy way to get a nice, successful composition.